Hi, I'm Jeannette Rocher coming to you from Lethbridge, Alberta. Welcome to Our Canada, only on Shaw. Did you know that besides being a gateway to the Canadian Rockies, Lethbridge is one of Canada's sunniest cities, so you're always assured a warm welcome even in the winter when we experience mighty Chinook winds. It's a warm air mass from the Pacific coast. And one of my favorite parts of Lethbridge is its beautiful landscape. We're unique because of our coulees, and you can see them behind me right now. And in case you're wondering what a coulee is, it's a dry gully or ravine, and ours is so dry it even has cacti growing in it. And over my shoulder, you'll notice the high-level bridge built in 1909. It's the longest and highest steel trestle bridge in North America, and it still serves CP Rail. Today on Our Canada, we feature stories on Irish dancing, a First Nations comedian, a Vietnamese family business, and a Syrian refugee story, plus more. We begin our program in Vancouver with Dunya Tozy and her story on an impressive youth who's an accomplished musician and composer, and he's not even a teenager yet.
This is an original composition of 11-year-old Spencer Tsai. And it's only one of over 170 musical pieces created by this talented young composer.
I hope to become a great composer like Beethoven.
Big dreams coming from this very young music prodigy, but not far-fetched at all, since he's already performed with some of the best in BC.
I've performed in many places. I've even performed with orchestras like Vancouver Metropolitan Orchestra, Delta Youth Symphony, Richmond Orchestra, and a few others.
The Richmond native started learning violin at 5.5 years of age and piano when he was only 7, and it took him only 3 years to complete his musical education and receive an ARCT diploma in both instruments.
An ARCT diploma is the culmination of 11 levels. Most people on average would take 1 year per level. Maybe at the earlier grades they could do it a little bit faster than that, but at the senior grades sometimes a little bit slower than that. So he's compressed over 11 years of study into 3.
I really wanted to compose, so I really had to learn these instruments. So I decided to go with them so I could play my own pieces and enjoy them. And I decided to go for the ARCT. It wasn't very hard because I'm a really fast learner.
He is natural to do that, and he would like to be a great composer. He would like to have more time to compose, focus on composing. So he would like to finish all the exams as soon as possible and have a lot of time to develop his creativity fully.
But composing is what he loves doing most, and he gets inspired every day and everywhere.
The fact that he's creative and he feels comfortable in that space is unreal. Some people never experience this.
A very beautiful melody just pops in my head, maybe when I'm on the car, maybe when I'm at Disneyland, maybe when I'm sleeping, or just stuff, really strange appearances, but the melodies are very beautiful as if it was a gift from God.
A gift that helps him create for a variety of instruments and musical styles.
How I learned the instruments is I really like to listen to them. So for example, flute, I would go on the internet, listen to maybe a flute concerto, and I would get like the idea of what it sounds like, and I could try writing it on my own.
But Spencer's dream extends beyond just making music.
I wanted to create a place like Disneyland called Musicland, and it would be really cool where you would have rides that really include music into it.
And given his determined and ambitious nature, it's not a matter of if he'll do this, but when. In Richmond, I'm Dunya Tozy for Shaw TV.
Well, that's an amazing youth that I'm sure we'll hear much from in the years to come. Creativity takes all forms, like dance, for example. The World Irish Dancing Championship is said to be equivalent to the Olympics for sports, and this year 2 Saskatoon Irish dancers were invited to compete on the world stage. As Janella Hamilton's story will explain, it takes hard work and dedication for young dancers to achieve their goals.
perfect posture, pointed toes, and high kicks, technique that is constantly running through the competitive mind of 19-year-old Sam Fairweather as she prepares to take the stage in front of thousands at the World Irish Dancing Championships later this month.
Honestly, as big of a deal it is, you just gotta remind yourself, like, I've been training so hard. We've been in the studio here every day. You just gotta remember, I know what I'm doing and I'm here because I love it.
Sam's passion for Irish dancing began when she was only 3 years old.
I actually saw River Dance and I said, Mom, like, look at me Irish dancing, and did the little hoppity skip that people do to pretend to do Irish dance, and she said, I think we gotta put her in, and I've been in it ever since.
She's a great girl, she's very personable, and as a dancer, she's grown so much over the years. She's very strong, she's very driven, and really committed.
Time management has been key for the second-year university student who has been training upwards of 15 hours a week after placing top 5 in Western Canada in November, qualifying her for Worlds.
It's been a lot of work trying to balance it all, but you kind of just gotta look and say, I love what I'm doing, and you gotta prioritize your time. Okay, so I have 2 hours to do this, and then afterwards, while I'm making my supper, I can study for this.
Hard work and an intense training schedule is something 13-year-old Caleb Herelio is also familiar with. This will be his 3rd consecutive year dancing at the World Championship.
I was terrified the first Worlds. Going up on the stage, there was like 7 judges. It was nice to be on that stage.
The World Championships for Irish dance is akin to the Olympics for any other sport. These dancers are competing at a very high level. Like I said, it's akin to the Olympics, and they are elite athletes. They have to watch their nutrition, their cross-training, their mental game.
Between dance, school, and a vigorous workout routine, it's hard to believe either of these dancers have time to rehearse with their teammates for their many St. Patrick's Day performances.
I'm pretty excited. It's a fun night. It's really busy, but you finally get to show people what it's like and what you've worked on.
While everybody was practicing for St. Patrick's Day, I had to go in the back and run my endurance, which has been a lot of work for me, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
To see these dancers at such a young age accomplishing these things, I think it just speaks to their maturity and their dedication.
Making it to the World Championship 2016 is a huge accomplishment for both Fairweather and Herelio, as they are the only 2 dancers in Saskatchewan to qualify.
It's my first time going. I'm not really sure what to expect, but I'm going in with a strong will and a happy face, and I hope that I can do the best that I can.
I think everyone goes into the Worlds hoping that they'll place in about the top half. I, of course, am happy that she even made it there, which is just such a huge accomplishment in itself. We'll be proud of her no matter what happens.
The World Irish Dancing Championships take place in Glasgow, Scotland, March 20th to 27th. For Our Canada, I'm Janella Hamilton in Saskatoon.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Almeida from Victoria, British Columbia. Nama saya Jennifer Almeida dari Victoria, British Columbia. Welcome to Our Canada on Shaw. Selamat datang ke negara kita Kanada melalui rangkaian Shaw.
This episode of Our Canada comes to you from windy Lethbridge, Alberta. I'm Jeannette Rocher, pleased to be your host today. In our next story, we'll meet a care home cook in Victoria, BC, and you'll quickly learn that there's more spice in this man's life than preparing a meal. James Green has the story of Edgar.
A true showman by nature, a Latin-style living legend among men. Edgar Acevedo is a local care home cook who's acted on stage, appeared in a television soap opera, played on a pro soccer team, was recognized as a national icon in his native country's wrestling arena, and to this day sings and plays multiple instruments in a band. It's a life story with plenty of action and culture, the kind of life that might make you question your own level of varied participation. Having grown up in Guatemala, Edgar's early life was spent in poverty. Being adopted into a well-to-do family, Edgar was able to attend college. There, he tried boxing and judo, but it was Greco-Roman wrestling that he developed a serious passion for, resulting in an 8-year career.
It's a good and fun entertainment, but requires lots and lots of exercise.
Becoming well respected on the South American wrestling scene, Edgar even appeared on national television to fight a world champion.
French version called Champion du Monde. He was the champion. Anyway, so I had to wrestle with him in the TV there, and my friends couldn't believe it, this guy. He beat me like you have no idea.
Edgar moved to Canada in 1982. He was in his 30s. Here, it was his love of music that took over. He's the co-founder of a band called Cumbia, a Latin-style ensemble formed 27 years ago. Today, he's also in a band called The Latin Project.
What do you like about the Latin rhythms? Because you're a percussion guy, right?
Best. Put you to dancing right away. Congas, in combination with timbales, and then the güiro or the cowbell.
More cowbell.
Put to dance in no time. To everybody, doesn't matter, you don't know how to dance, you will be dancing. I play congas. It's my favorite instrument. And then I do timbales, I do bongos, I do a little bit guitar. But my favorite instrument is congas.
Edgar invited me to try out the timbali, joining him on the congas for a merengue rhythm. Now I'm playing the El Güero, which kind of looks like a fish. When it comes to concocting rhythms, Edgar has a whole bowl full of ideas. Sharing an all-inspiring moment, creating music with someone as interesting as Edgar, I'm James Green.
A los Estados Unidos. I want to tell you in my song how much I love you. I hope, my love, may you come back very soon.
So, have you ever tried to tell a joke in front of a group of people and no one got it? If so, you'll better understand how difficult it can be for some people to stand up in front of an audience and be funny, but for others it comes much more naturally. Ron Konutsky from Northwestern Ontario uses his rich Ojibwe heritage, stories, and real-life experiences to make his audience have a good laugh, and he's gaining in popularity on the comedy circuit.
How many people have gone to powwows here? A couple? Yeah. You ever been to a small powwow? A really small one? Like I just went to a small. I was at a small powwow. I went there as a dancer. The powwow was so small that the MC said, "Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Let's bring in the dancer." And I looked around and I was the only guy. I was it. There was just me dressed up with feathers. I had an eagle staff. There was no one even to offer me tobacco. I had to help myself. There was a dish there and a little note that said, "Get your own." My material comes from past stories. Sometimes it's just spur of the moment kind of things that just happen. Stuff that comes from like your life experiences. To me, those are the best ones.
For comedian Ron Konutsky, it's all about living a good life. And while there was once a time in his younger years where alcohol, drugs, and rock and roll were his addictions of choice, those have since been erased and replaced with comedy, humor, and a good laugh.
Well, what's really weird about the Native Friendship Center is this used to be a bar at one time, and I put many a man hours in here. I've done a lot of serious work hours here prior to coming here, so this is going to be a little different. I've walked in sober and I'm going to leave sober, so this is going to be different for me, for this building. To be honest with you, comedy was something I always enjoyed right from a kid. And I actually have a friend that's just sitting right beside us over here. He's the one who introduced me to comedy, and he got this beta tape. It was called Eddie Murphy Delirious. And I watched that and I was like, I can do that. And well, of course I can't be Eddie Murphy, but I was like, I think I can make people laugh.
Konutsky has made his comedic presence heard in Northwestern Ontario. Although born and raised in Dryden, Ron's comedy is most well known in the city of Thunder Bay, where just last year he was crowned the winner of the city's Comedic Idols Champ of Champions event.
He says, "I'm old school, bro. I'm Wu-Tang Posse, bro." He says, "I'm hip hop. I'm gangster rap, man. You know what I'm saying?" I said, "Listen here, sonny boy. I said I was dressed like that in the Res in 1983. It ain't hip hop, it ain't Wu-Tang Clan, it ain't old school, it's called drunk. It was kind of frowned upon when I was a kid. It was kind of like, you know, that'd be a nice hobby, but you got to think realistically about a career. So comedy got put on the shelf till I was probably almost 40 years old, where I started to look at it as a possibility again. There's a few things that I always say that it's never too late, you can always do it. And then there's a few things that where I'm at right now in life I'm not going to do. Like I always wanted to climb Mount Everest. And I watched the movie on Everest and I was like, nah, we're not going to do that anymore. He's like, I don't want to die. That's not fun.
To find out more about Ron's upcoming shows and tour, visit his website at ronkanutsky.com.
It's like any job, you got to earn your stripes. You don't just step up and all of a sudden you're famous. And there's so many talented people. You got to kind of put your time in, and people got to get to know you. And you get your following, right? And I think it's starting to happen. What I did is instead of going and practicing somewhere, I just kind of said, I'm either going to do this, I'm going to be good at it, or I'm not. So I just went out there and did my best. I dropped the pebble right from where I was at, and I just rippled out from there. So it's a pretty rare way of doing it. You know, a lot of people have never do it that way. I'll say, you got to go to New York, or you got to go to Los Angeles, or Toronto, or Montreal. I did in Thunder Bay. This is my impersonation of Arnold Schwarzenegger emceeing one of our powwows.
For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Tommy Johnson.
I'm never going to be able to do that. Come on, you guys, get out there. It's time to start powwowing. What are you waiting for? It's already 2 o'clock. Get out there. We're going to do the duck and dive. Come on, get out there. I love doing this. It's so much fun.
Now that is one funny guy. Up next, did you know that not all New Year's begin in January? In fact, the Iranian New Year began just recently on the first day of spring. And Calgary's Persian community brings in their New Year with a lot of style, and Shaw TV's Shiva Jahansha was there to take in the festivities.
Well, it's no secret, the Persians love to party. The first day of spring marks a new year on the Persian calendar. Nowruz is noted as the most celebrated holiday in Iran. This year, Persians all over the world gathered to welcome the year 1395 on the solar calendar.
This is the celebration of Nowruz, the Persian New Year, which is history back to 3,000 years. I live in Canada almost 26 years, so since that time I always was my dream to gather the Persian community together in Calgary.
Traditionally, the holiday is celebrated with friends and family. There's usually some music and dancing, and always a fine spread of great food.
Well, Nowruz just kind of takes me back to being a kid and celebrating with my family and back in Iran, because we were such kids when we came here, so the music, the food, the atmosphere, and just being with family just means so much.
The New Year's parties are always fun because we get to see our family and have lots of fun and dress up.
You know, I just love coming to these because it reminds me of home, and it reminds me of the music, the people. It's so nice to be around everyone and just have that piece of home here in Canada with us. So I just enjoy it so much.
Even Calgary's mayor couldn't stay away from the festivities. Nahid Nenshi was busy over the weekend attending numerous Nowruz celebrations happening around Calgary.
It's a wonderful thing, and it speaks to the pluralism of our community. You know, I always thought that the Persians had it right. The first of spring is a great time to have a New Year's celebration. It's a time of renewal and rebirth, even if we haven't had much of a winter this year. So it is great to be able to come here to say Nowruz Mubarak.
There's certainly a lot of work that goes into preparing for Nowruz, including the creation of the perfect half scene, a traditional setting of specific items, each representing a well-wish for the year ahead.
This half scene is being set up by myself and my family, and which is a symbol of prosperity, health, medicine, beauty in our Persian New Year, which you can see in all Persian house during the New Year and during the Nowruz.
While the first day of spring is the official kickoff to the Persian New Year, this crowd likes to party. The Persian New Year celebrations continue around the world for 13 days. Wishing you and yours a happy Iranian New Year. In Calgary, I'm Shiva Jahansha for Shaw TV.
And that last story came to us out of our Calgary office, just 2 hours north of Lethbridge. It's not often that you'll hear of a successful business mixing work and family, though for the relatives of our next story, business has been a family affair since it first opened its doors in Kelowna 20 years ago.
Yeah, I have a table for you.
So we got a table already. Would you like to come in? Okay, come in, please. Yeah, down this way.
It's another busy night at the Mekong restaurant in Kelowna as Dan and Wanda Trong continue to greet customers in the same friendly way they always have since first opening in 1987.
How old is he?
He's 16 months.
18. Yeah, he's still shy a little bit.
7.5 years before jumping into the restaurant industry, the couple, along with 9 family members, immigrated to Canada from Vietnam. The business was a way to help support their extended families with jobs for the growing children.
We want to do something in our own family business. So I open a restaurant and they all come and help, and without looking job anywhere else. They can work for the family, eat from the family, and we pay them a little bit spending money, and that's how it works.
I went to my parents and I told them, I want a job. I want to work in the restaurant. I want to do something. So they set me up as a dishwasher. I think I did that job for a month before I got fired.
When their doors first opened in downtown Kelowna, across from the sales, it was thanks in large part to Dan's brother Kit, who had built a wealth of knowledge in the restaurant industry since landing in Canada.
After so many years, he traveled to Paris and learning all the technique from my uncle. Actually, they have very famous Chinese restaurant back in Paris. And he learned all the technique from them and cooking way, and he come home and he said, I think we're ready to open a restaurant. I know all that stuff now.
In the beginning, the family offered Vietnamese cuisine based on food from their homeland. While their menu presented something new to Kelowna residents, it soon became apparent their unique fare might also be getting in the way of growing a successful business.
Over the summer, we're incredibly busy because most of the tourists, they know, they come to eat. But after the summer, things go differently. Things were slow. Local people doesn't know what Vietnamese food all about. So after so many months of slow, and we think we're not going to make it if we keep going this way. So I think we have to switch to Chinese.
The following spring, they made the change, offering Szechuan-style Chinese food, and the rest, they say, is history. After 11 years of operating in downtown, they moved to their current location on Harvey Avenue, attached to Kelowna Inn and Suites, in 1998. For 29 years, 18 at their current location, Wanda and Dan have welcomed customers to their restaurant, and Kit has continued to bring them back by creating delicious food. It's a unique success story based around strong family ties, as even Dan's 92-year-old mother continues to help out 2 days a week by hand-making wontons.
We enjoy very much because that only time we got extra time. We can talk together, go back to the old day stuff. We can go back where she in China, whatever thing we go back when the first time we came to Canada.
Business is good, but family should be good too. They have to go together.
Even my staff and fun staff and the kitchen staff, we always seem like a family to us. We will try our best to work together with them and we improve whatever we can.
Some customers have been here about more than 25 years. They keep going one for a while. When the generation first and second generation and now the third generation keep coming.
Time stops for no one, so this devoted family is now looking to the next generation to help carry on the tradition. Dan and Wanda's son Henry has returned to Kelowna after years spent in Vancouver to take over from his uncle as kitchen manager. It's a move that truly is keeping it in the family and likely will for years to come. Reporting for Shaw TV, I'm Brendan Osborne in Kelowna.
A young Syrian man fled the civil war in 2012 and ended up in a refugee camp in Lebanon, where he waited until the day he could leave for Canada. Now that dream has become a reality, and he's Salmon Arm's first Syrian refugee to relocate there. Jamie Ross brings us his story.
In Syria, there is the Orontes River beside my town, and it's like the lake here. It's beautiful.
It's hard to imagine that Salmon Arm has any similarities to the war-torn country Mustafa Zakrit left behind.
There are about very different places, and each place has its own, like, something special. But ISIS come to this city and fight there and destroyed everything.
The 24-year-old arrived in Salmon Arm January 12th to begin a new life, but he's still haunted by the memories of Syria.
When the revolution started, I lost one of my best friends. He was like beside me, shoulder to shoulder. And when we were asking for freedom, the government, one of the army shot him, and he killed him.
Mustafa spent the last few years at a UN refugee camp in Lebanon. It's where he and his brother fled after things became too dangerous in Syria.
I lived in a small town on the border between Syria and Lebanon. And they started bombing that town. And when they bombed it, I lost my brother. And then after 2 months, I lost my mother. And Hezbollah and other groups started approaching to us, and they wanted to take the town where I was.
The camp in Lebanon wasn't much safer, so Mustafa jumped at the chance to come to Canada and is doing his best to adjust to his new life.
Number 10. What made Chuck feel like an adult?
ESL lessons at the local college are helping Mustafa improve his English as he prepares to start engineering school in the fall. He's one of dozens of Syrian refugees being sponsored by community groups in Salmon Arm.
Hopefully in the end, there are going to be about 8 families here, and so it will be a good community of Syrians who are supportive to each other, but who also will be part of the community because each family will link up with a group of supporters.
Mustafa's situation is a bit different. Most of the refugees come with their families, but he came alone, forced to leave his father and brother behind until their applications are approved. For now, he's making the best of the situation as he meets new friends and learns about a new culture.
Mustafa, welcome to Salmon Arm. I'd like to present you with this painting that I did.
A gift from a local artist, a gesture of kindness Mustafa is growing accustomed to. As he continues to settle into his new home, he vows to one day give back to the community and country that have welcomed him with open arms.
After that, I want to do something good for this country. I know that word thanks is not enough, so I have to do something good. And for me, I was living in danger in Lebanon. It was a dream for me to travel to Canada.
And while Mustafa waits for his family to come, he's starting to meet other families that have arrived, and he's now acting as an interpreter for many of them because his English is so good. Now that is very inspiring. You can view past episodes of Our Canada on Shaw's multicultural YouTube channel. It's been my pleasure being your host from windy Lethbridge, Alberta. I'm Jeannette Rocher. Thanks for watching this edition of Our Canada.